My name is Consuela Alonso Ruiz. I am 67 years old and I work at the Luna Deluxe Hotel in housekeeping. Every morning I wake up at 4:45. I care for my 3 grandchildren, Nadia, Hector, and Ramon. They need to be to school by 7:45, so they wake when I wake. After I bathe, I make breakfast at 5:25. Out the door, sit down to eat at 5:50. Out the door by 6:10. Then we walk 20 minutes to the bus stop. I used to take the 73 before they changed the route last year. The 73 used to go directly to my job. It would drop me off a block and a half away and take me maybe 45 minutes. That bus used to be my lifeline. Not only could I take it to work, but I could take it to the hospital for my physical therapy appointments, to Ockerby Square to go food shopping on the weekends, and even to my ESL classes at Cal Annex at night. But not anymore. Now, I catch the 52 in the morning. It's supposed to come at 6:40. If it's on time, I make it to Holden Market by 7:30. Then catch the 83 at 7:55, which I make it to 7th and Prince by 8:30. That gives me just enough time to walk the 10 blocks and be to the Luna Deluxe by 9. But if any of these buses are late, I'm in trouble. Because if I miss that 83 at 7:55, the next bus doesn't come until 8:15, and it's always packed. That puts me on the 8:45, and that puts me in trouble with my boss. One morning I was riding the bus, and the lady, she tells me they're gonna cut more lines, including the 73 on weekends. I'm listening to her, but I just don't understand how they could do this. How are people supposed to live? There's nothing in our neighborhoods, no grocery stores, no fish market, no nothing. So I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do now? The lady, she said she was gonna join the bus riders union so they could make them stop the cuts. She pointed to a young man on the bus handing out applications. So I went up to him and I asked for one. When the bus riders union application asked me how many hours a day I spend riding the bus, including my waiting time, I realized it's 5 hours a day just getting to and from work. Now I don't just want to join the union, I want to make a change. I start attending the monthly meetings to help create the demands. Then I learn about the different protests and decide to become more involved. These transportation commissioners make all of the decisions about our lives, and nobody from our community is even invited to the table. Every year they raise our fare while they continue to cut our service. Nadia, my granddaughter, and I had a fight the other night about the dishes. Why should you care, she says. You're never around. You're always working on that bus thing. This hurt me because I work very hard to take care of her and the boys. I grab her by the shoulders and I ask, why do you think I do this? I want you to be proud of who you are and where you come from. I want you to know that sometimes you have to stand up, even when it isn't easy or convenient. But mostly, I want to show you, Nadia, that even somebody like me can learn how to fight. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. So in the summer and fall of 2010, I had the privilege to move through different parts of this nation and sit at the kitchen table with everyday hardworking people who were trying their best to navigate what has undisputedly been one of the worst economic times in our nation's history. I had the opportunity to do this as a result of the commission I received from the Opportunity Agenda. I, like many of you, stood back in shock and in horror on that fateful day in September of 2008 as we watched it all come crashing down. And as much as there was so much dialogue and back and forth happening, I, like many of you, knew that we were only getting tiny pieces of the puzzle. I had so many questions. Like what had really happened? Like how bad had it really gotten for everyday people? Was the stimulus package even making a dent? And more importantly, was that money and those resources getting to the places that needed it most? Could a speedy recovery be expected? Or was a recovery at all even certain? Moreover, to what degree were organizations like the Opportunity Agenda and others able to make a difference? And how might the work that we do today support a more equitable recovery and ultimately a more just economy in the future? I pondered these questions as I traveled the country, coming face to face with all kinds of people, tracing the patterns and connecting the dots between advocacy and policy work, frontline community organizing, right on into the center of the lives of ordinary people. And I can tell you that what I saw both inspired and appalled me. There were places where I was so proud of us, but also places where I was deeply ashamed. The shame came from the many people I saw who were suffering in isolation and silence. As if their own personal hardship were not bad enough, the fact that they did not have a voice and moreover did not see or feel themselves entitled to a voice made the matters even worse. Somehow they viewed the hardship that had fallen upon them as individual, as a personal challenge that they would have to navigate and figure out on their own. The moments of inspiration came from meeting people like Consuela, who somehow got ignited and used this moment to engage the structures that be in a way that they never would have imagined before. And I think that that's one of the bright spots that we can say this happened as a result of this fallout. That more and more people are being ignited through their passion and through their commitment. People who would never identify themselves as activists or advocates or organizers or politicians or check any of the other boxes perhaps that you and I might check on any given day. And I think the excitement, as messy as it is, the excitement about their action and their activation is the potential for true democracy to really start to come to the fore. The interesting thing for me, in particular, about what distinguished the people who were quiet from those who had chosen to be ignited and taken to the streets was very simple. It was education. Their ability to fully understand how what was happening to them was not an isolated incident, but rather the product of a systemic meltdown after years of dysfunction and, dare I say, abuse and neglect. So their education didn't come from the rhetoric, though. It didn't come from the political banter and the back and forth. Their education simply came from identifying their own struggle and humanity in the struggle and the humanity of another. Which is why lifting our stories from the ground is so important. The challenge I believe we face now is that when it's all said and done, if we're not careful, will we have a new shade of business as usual? Or will we seize this moment to not only shape a new economy, but to transform the culture of capitalism from the obsessive single bottom line focus to a culture that is more accessible, more equitable, and more sustainable for us all? I thank you so much for the privilege to be here today.